Hello and welcome to this Ibrox. It's your Rangers podcast, and it's Scott Patterson again, welcoming you back to do a little, just a quiet Thursday night review, or a quiet review of a Thursday night, rather. We, of course, will tonight review the Red Bull Leipzig semi-final Ibrox, in which Rangers convincingly progressed to a Europa League final in Seville in a couple of weeks' time. Incredible. For the sport, just an amazing night. Really pleased to say we're joined by three of our regulars, Shug, Andrew and Dylan. Dylan, we'll start with you. How are you, buddy? You all right?
I'm good, mate. I've had worse Thursday nights, so yeah.
And Andrew, you're back again. How are you, mate?
Very well indeed. This sore throat aside, very well indeed.
Yeah, and is there a wee bit of sore head in there as well? You said earlier on.
There is.
Yeah, less said about that, the better. And Shug, always good to have you on again, mate. You're quite the regular just now.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. A lot of good things to say about Rangers just now, so I'm happy to come back.
Absolutely right. It's good to have you on, Guy. Thanks for joining us. We should say a quick hello to our friends across at Zenith Coins, who are currently pulling together the Rangers coin collection, 5 wonderfully crafted coins, which celebrate 5 iconic pieces of our history. One for the founding fathers, an Ibrox Stadium coin. One for the Barcelona Bears of 1972, which I'll come round to later in the pod. One that celebrates the 9 in a row guys from the early 90s, and one which celebrates our 55th league championship under Steven Gerrard last season. Visit the website now if you can, all the W's, zenithcoins.com. So let's get into it. Andrew, we'll start with you. Nerves going into the home game against Leipzig at Ibrox. Tell me how you are feeling.
Very, very nervous, Scott. I didn't buy into the confidence levels of the majority of Rangers fans on social media. I couldn't see where the confidence was coming from. I thought they were a fantastic team. I seen somebody saying that they were actually not as good a team as Red Star Belgrade. I disagree. I think they were a good team. They're a fast team. They're a dangerous team, as their goal last night showed. They pulled that goal out of nowhere. I was very, very nervous. Tied with excitement, of course. But the nerves were kind of getting the better of me. I just prayed for the usual Ibrox start. If you think back to all the knockout stages, the speed in which we've started these games and how early we've got the first goal, which of course settles the nerves, and it also seems to lift the players as well as the fans. I was praying for that, and Captain Tav does it again.
Dylan, same question to you. We were aware of the enormity of the tie, what it meant, what we had to do, which I think was really helpful. We were very aware of what we had to do from a football club perspective, what we had to do both in the stands and on the pitch. How did you feel going into the tie?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was quite confident, but I don't really think that confidence was based on anything. I think it was just more based on like that gut feeling, really. I was well aware that Leipzig is a fantastic team. They've got players, they've got top class players. So, but against that, we've seen in the last 4 years like what the role that Ibrox plays in these European nights. I know we beat teams like Borussia Dortmund, Belgrade, and Prague beforehand to get to this point. Again, when we bet Borussia Dortmund, I just thought, Leipzig are probably not as good as Dortmund. I just thought, with that logic, we should, but obviously it doesn't really work like that. Again, all I was hoping for is that we just have like a good start. And that's why you put all the effort in, because I think at that point, even if we were to lose the tie, I would have been like, I'm actually proud of this team for getting this far in a European competition. But yeah, to go back to your question, I was quite comfortable, but also at the same time, I understood the enormity of the task at hand.
Shug, interesting to hear Dylan directly refer to the fact that Leipzig were, of course, the second German team we've played on our route to where we are now. We now realize a third German team to come in a bigger match than any of the other two were, by the way. My own personal opinion, I actually felt that Dortmund were a better team than Leipzig. I don't know if because it was Dortmund, I'm really not entirely sure. Did you feel that you were going into the tie thinking, if we open up here like we know we have to do, is there a danger of them slipping in behind us?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Leipzig, although they are behind Dortmund in the league, they had an absolute shocking start to the season and sacked the manager as a result. And since Dominic Tedesco came in, they've actually improved big time, but they have lost a couple lately in the Bundesliga. As soon as they get back into the Champions League spots, they're thrown it away. But yeah, I knew they were going to be a great team, and then we saw how much pace and the way that they played across in Leipzig. And like you say, if we open up, we were there to be picked off. And I don't know if that's because they'd won their 2 away games in the the knockout stages. I don't know if that's where the sort of confidence came at the end of the game last week. They seem to be way overconfident, as per Braga, about having a 1-0 lead. Maybe back in Walter Smith's run, a 1-0 lead from home was a good result, but it's not with the way goals gone. So, yeah, I think that's it. They were hoping that we'd open up big time and they could pick us off, but every single player to man just they had that extra yard that they always talk that the crowd gives them. You can see that we're covering all the time, everywhere, and so the Leipzig plan just did not go well.
No, it didn't. And listen, I'll stick with you because we'll go right back to so we spoke about how we felt going into the game. I was reasonably confident. I was almost mellow going into the game. I can assure you, when I got past the turnstile, mellow was nowhere near my mindset at that point. I have to say, on the run up to the game, Shug, I was a wee bit surprised to see Scott Wright and Glenn Kamara in the starting lineup.
Yeah. I guess if we look at last week's team, it's exactly the same, but I don't think anyone really thought it was going to be the same as last week.
Yeah.
I thought Scott Wright did struggle out there, and he did look like the one player that shouldn't have been on the pitch last week. So I was surprised that he got another shot, especially with Sakala being in the form he's in. I thought he maybe would have started on the right. Glenn Kamara, I would say, kind of justified his selection. What do we know?
and listen, Andrew, I think Shug's absolutely right. I felt Scott Wright looked a bit like a fish out of water across in Germany. And that's not being overly critical. Listen, you're at the tickly bit of the competition. As far as I'm concerned, you need to step up. You're playing better quality every single knockout stage. So you're aware of what you're coming up against. It did look like he struggled, so I was surprised to see him start on Thursday night.
I was the same, Scott and Kamara. I'm always quite thankful when they've got the back four there. The back four is always the same, and I like John Lundstrom because he can do a number of jobs, as I'm sure we'll get on to, as he did last night. But I couldn't get my head around why you had Wright and Kamara there when Sakala's in the form that he's in. It's as simple as that. I thought Wright done well last night. I think Sakala plays well off the left. I've just got a feeling that he had a job for Kent last night to do, and that was coming off the left as well. Listen, you've got the tactics that Gio's used since Dortmund has been exceptional. It's got us this far, As surprised I was to see the team, I was reasonably happy about it. I wasn't overly concerned. I mean, you're starting a European semi-final at 1-0 down with two left backs and no strikers. It's hardly ideal. But the jobs that he sent the players out to do last night, they've done to a T. Now, as I told you off air there, I was unfortunate enough to not go to the game last night. I've done a very good brotherly thing and gave my ticket to my brother who was dying to go. So that was fine. So I had the enjoyment of sitting on the couch and watching it. And I don't know if you have watched the game back, if you recorded it and came back, but 2 minutes in, the commentator said that basically Rangers are going man for man at the back, which means we're going to attack this team. Yeah. We're going to try and score this goal. And but you were talking to Shug about moments ago there, Scott. You worried about being picked off. As the game went on last night, I felt more confident that wasn't going to happen. I thought we were defending perfectly well. And that's where you build it from. And when you've got Tav, who's now the top goal scorer in the European competition, chipping in with goals like that, I wasn't overly concerned as the game wore on. But yes, I was a wee bit sceptical of Wright and Kamara, but not overly. I trusted Gio.
Dylan, I think it's interesting, and Andrew's kind of alluded to the fact that we know that largely we're going to a bit of rigidity of a back four, which we all know is now Tav, Goldson, Bassey and Barisic. However, to allow Tav to play that little bit more advanced, what we have seen is that Lundstrom drops back in to give us a 3. And as Andrew says, we went 3 up against Olmo, Poulsen and Nkunku. And it really worked for us because I felt personally in the first half, we really nullified anything they offered moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of like Walter Smith-esque, way of defending in Europe. I think obviously like top class players are coming up against, so I think you have to, although we have to like go on and win the game, we have to really keep like the back door shut, make sure we don't give them any opportunities. And honestly, like as the game, kind of what Andy was saying there, like as the game just went on, I was just more confident because I mean, the players we're up against are no garbage. They're just like they're top class players, and we just made them look like no better than us. We just were like nullified them. Again, they had a couple of shots, and I think we'll come to the way to go, and Cuckoo scored. But no, we did a fantastic job on nullifying them, and that just gave not only us as fans more confidence, but also the team more confidence that man for man we can actually compete against these players at this level.
Shug, first goal of the night came from really good work from Glenn Kamara, who we spoke about. Of course, we would hear from him shortly after the first goal. Really gets himself out of a really tricky situation on the touchline. I've seen it back and I'm still not entirely sure how he manages it, but he releases Ryan Kent down the left-hand side, who does what Ryan Kent does. Do you know what I mean? Faces up his marker, step over, step over, step over. At this point, you're dizzy watching him, to be perfectly frank, and he fizzes it across the goalkeeper, and I think Angelino was caught the wrong side of the ball, and Tav comes in, and listen, Andrew's absolutely right. 7th goal of the campaign for the Rangers captain right back. Incredible numbers, which we know about from Tavernier, but I think Shuggy getting that goal at that point, almost halfway through the first half rather, it settled some of the nerves. We were very aware at that point it's level pegging and it's anyone's tie at this stage.
Yeah, we've been really guilty of being punished for not taking more chances, and it's at that time of the games when normally the stadium starts getting a bit quiet. Not so much last night, and things were starting to drop off a wee bit. I had an unbelievable angle from my seat on the goal itself, because I think I was practically in line with where Kamara did his battling. I think it was a wee bit Joe Aribo-esque the way he came out of the ball.
Absolutely.
And then Kent doing what you want to see Kent doing, what he does best, commits defenders.
Yep.
But then where my view wasn't so good was I thought he'd scuffed a shot. From my angle, I thought he'd scuffed the shot, and I never seen Tav at the back post, and I thought he'd scuffed the shot, and the next thing I see the ball bouncing off the net, and I'm like,
unreal. Oh, look at that.
Just the way, because you're starting down low in the wheelchair section, so you can't see up over.
Yeah.
And anything, all I can see is the Salzburg players, the line of red and white, and that Tav just came from nowhere. And it was only when I seen him run across the goal celebrating that I knew that it was Tav that had scored. But no, it was a fantastic start, and it was exactly what the support needed at that stage. Just getting us all settled, and I think I wasn't the most optimistic before the match. I've got to be honest and say, but I think everybody, I always had a wee bit of hope, but I think the whole stadium, everybody that was sort of on the fence, all became positive that we could do this. And I think the belief became in the crowd, and I think that gets into the players.
Yeah, listen, I think you're absolutely right. I think when we have the positivity and we score and we bring it back to 1 each, the ground just, it almost feels, Ibrox levitates. When things are going really, really good and everyone's on the same page, the ground levitates. It's an incredible feeling. And for anyone that was there last night who's hopefully listening, watching, they'll understand what I mean. The atmosphere at Ibrox on Thursday night, generally from first minute to last, was incredible. We'll come to it a little bit later in the pods. But at that point, Andrew, when we go 1-0 up, 1 each in the tie, it's incredible. But very shortly after, and we've got the audacity to score again. And I don't know how many times I've been at Ibrox and Glenn Kamara's been in a position to shoot, and I've yelled, shoot, shoot, shoot. And he could be inside 18-yarder, and he's refusing to do it. However, Scott Wright, some really nice assists from him. Plays it to Kamara, beautiful curling effort down to the Leipzig goalkeeper's right-hand side. And before you know it, do you know what I mean? We're 2-0 up, and everything is smelling like roses.
Exactly. I mean, after you get the first goal and it settles the nerves, it's back to 1 each, it's back to even Stevens. To get that next one so quickly is just phenomenal. And what a finish. You're exactly right, Scott. I'm in total agreement with you. You scream shoot at Kamara.
Absolutely.
And he scored against Motherwell from outside the box. I mean, it's been done. It's one of the debates between Rangers fans whether people like to see Glenn Kamara further up the field.
Yeah.
But if he's got that kind of thing in his locker, then why not? I understand the arguments for him, defensive midfielder, because he's fantastic at that as well when he wants to be. But last night, he basically passed it into the net. The goalkeeper, I thought, was a bit suspect, I must say.
Yeah.
He was very slow at getting down. That's not taking anything away from his shot. His shot was fantastic. It was the perfect pace, the perfect curl. But I thought the keeper was a wee bit suspect. But to just quickly go back to Taverniers, when I was watching the game last night, half time, Ali McCoist made a comment. And if you're going to listen to anybody about being a centre forward, you need to listen to Ali McCoist. When it shows you one of the angles, when Kent's running into the box, the run Tavernier makes, Ali McCoy said that's a centre forward's run. It's a standard centre. Do you know what I mean? That's phenomenal, in my opinion. That's absolutely outstanding to get that kind of plaudits from somebody like Ali McCoist. No, the second goal, the nerves are away after the first. You're flying after the second. And then I'm sure we'll go on to Joe Aribo in a minute, but it should have been free very shortly thereafter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think I know exactly what Ali McCoy's talking about, the run. If you look at, there's an angle that you see on the BT camera, and Tavernier I'm sure at one point Tavernier's actually behind Kent before he knocks it across, like quite a distance behind him. And he makes up some ground to get in there. Listen, at this point it's 2-0 to Rangers. Really nice, a nice moment in the game. The Rangers family were obviously crushed last week to hear the news about Jimmy Bell, and it added to the occasion in the sense that it was a unique atmosphere last night. There will never ever be a European game like that again, where we try and transfer the energy of such tragic circumstances to make us all so positive. But there was a really nice moment. Kamara took off his black armband and kissed it, and do you know what I mean? It was very much something that they were doing for Jimmy Bell. It was a lovely touch, and I just think it boosted everyone a little bit. I think it boosted everyone, and to be 2-0 up at home at that point, hey, listen, we know we're going to Seville, but the work wasn't done there, Dylan, and Andrew's absolutely right. At 2-0. Fantastic opportunity falls to Joe Aribo, and listen, you're willing it in. You just hit it with anything, Joe. Make sure it goes in, and I'm still not entirely sure how it never went in yet.
Yeah, so surprising, because I think this season he has scored some of the goals that could be considered a goal this season, and then at that point, everyone on the pitch, you kind of expected him to be the one that knocks it in, and as you say, which he could have hit it with any part of his body. It would have at least been on target, but more likely would be in goal. I think when things like that happen, immediately after you start to feel like if they score 1 or 2 after this, then this is going to be like a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a thing I feared at the time. But luckily it didn't transpire the way that we feared. But 9 times out of 10 times out of 10, you need to be scoring that, especially in the way that Aribo's on, especially the quality that he has. He should definitely be scoring that.
And listen, of course, Joe Aribo took a real sore one just before half time. I remember, I think it was in the World Cup in 1990, and that kind of shows just how old I am, despite looking like this. Branco hit a free kick in a Brazil-Scotland game, and I thought Murdo McLeod was dead at one point. I remember seeing a slow-mo of it, and I'm sure Ali McCoy's actually standing in the wall next to him, and as you see it in slow motion, as McLeod clunks onto the ground, McCoy's kind of slow motion kind of looks at him. You can tell he's thinking, goodness me, thank God that hit your coupon and not mine. Aribo took something similar and came off just before half time. Shug, we going to half time 2-0 up. What's your thoughts at that point?
I think the crowd showed the appreciation that we're all over the moon.
Yeah.
The effort they'd been put in that first half, and you are thinking we're 45 minutes from Seville, because the way Red Bull had played and the way we had played, there only looked like one winner at that point, and just we're hoping at that. Like, I know what Dylan means, that I get that fear that you miss that chance, they're going to go and score their next chance. I just hope that doesn't come back to haunt you. But no, I was full of confidence, and as confident as I ever get at that point that we were going to go on and do it, because you could just see that fight in the players and everything they were doing, and it was joyous to watch. And yeah, if only I could go back.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, listen, at half time, you're 2-0 up. You're very aware that, do you know what I mean? You've got one foot firmly lodged in the Europa League final, which is, I still can't get my head around that. But do you know what I mean? You're pretty much there. But you're very aware that they can offer something, and they offered a threat, indeed, for a good sort of 10-15 minutes of the second half when we came out. I said to the guys next to me, and it was a bloody stupid thing to say with hindsight. I said, I'll tell you, in the first half, we've kept the boy in Nkunku quite quiet. And we had, I felt in the first half, we dealt with him really well. Bassey, an absolute star. Goldson, incredible. Lundstrom, we'll speak about him later on. But I felt at half time, Andrew, we were in a really good place and comfortable, largely.
Definitely. If somebody said you're going to be 2-0 up and to an extent cruising at half time, you'd have bitten their hand off, absolutely bitten their hand off for that. But I totally agree, Scott. This is a European Cup semi-final. They're going to come at you. They're going to come at you at some point. And so it was you. Are you admitting fault here for the goal?
Just a wee bit of fault.
I can't believe you said we've kept Nkunku quiet. I cannot believe somebody would say that. That's 100% your fault, then, Scott. I'm going to have to say that. What a finish from Nkunku, you must say. What a cross and what a finish. It was absolutely outstanding, and no wonder he's been linked to teams for upwards of £40 million.
Yeah.
But you're expecting them to be coming at you. But as I say, 2-0 up and cruising, you're delighted with that. If Joe's about in and it was 3, you're booking flights on your phone while you're there, you know.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that. But I was confident that we would come out and play our own game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ibrox has been a fortress since January when it comes to European games. It's an absolute fortress. You've got to remember as well, we've lost by a goal away from home in Belgrade, Braga, and in Leipzig. And it's all been the work done at Ibrox. So I was very happy with the first half performance, and I seen no reason for that not continuing. I really didn't. So I was delighted with the first half performance and confident of maintaining it.
Dylan, before we speak in a little bit more depth about Nkunku's goal, because I want to do a wee comparison on a goal that we spoke about off air before we started. Alan McGregor makes a really, really good. Now we know about Alan McGregor and how, do you know what I mean? He's been up for debate this year, which we appreciate, and I think the general consensus is this may very well be his last season as Rangers #1. However, the importance of a goalkeeper at crucial times in the games can never be underestimated, and he makes a fantastic save with his feet at 2-0 before Nkunku indeed does score. But that save really keeps us in the tie at that point, I think, because you don't know what effect us conceding then, because it was earlier in the second half, has on the remainder of the 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like in semi-finals in these competitions, it's just all about fine margins. I mean, you could be as good as you can. You can play as well as we did, but all it takes is just like one moment of luck for Leipzig, one mistake in the back line, something like that, and the game gets flipped on its head. this watching back today, because I'm like a lot of Rangers fans, I'm just watched YouTube videos non-stop since last night. I think it was a quality save. I think I've been critical of McGregor this season. I don't think I'm alone in that. I do think this is last season. But again, saves like that just shows you that he is still a fantastic shot stopper. I think you could argue probably the best in Scotland, along with Greg Gordon. I think he can come up with moments like that in games where it feels like scoring a winning goal. Honestly, it's just like some of the saves that he makes. And, you know, at that point, you really do start to believe that this is our night. And of course, you know, we're going to touch on the Nkunku goal shortly after that. But as well as, you know, keeping it tight, scoring goals that we need to, the fact that McGregor did his job there and then deserves recognition. And the fact that he could potentially battle out his Rangers career with a Europa League medal, I mean, can't get much more fairy tale stuff than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I fully agree with you. As I say, I think we've done Alan McGregor to death on this podcast. Some are big fans. I'm a huge fan. However, he's had these moments this season. That's just the way of it. But that was a huge save, a huge moment in the game, as far as I was concerned. And I want to speak just about Nkunku's goal shortly after that. And in the late 90s, I can vividly remember Pierre Van Hooijdonk having a volley from a Tosh McKinley cross, of all people. And Andy Gorham makes an incredible save from it. Shug, the Angelino cross. Now, I'm not comparing Angelino to Tosh McKinley, for goodness sake. But what I am saying is that I think if you were to look at them both again, there's a lot of similarities there. The Angelino cross is absolutely first class. It falls right onto Nkunku's right boot, and the touch is absolutely inch perfect to take it beyond McGregor. And at that point, you have to say, bring Leipzig right into the tie with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, that got me a bit nervous. I think during that period, the whole team seemed to drop back 5 yards.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess, something teams in general seem to do in knockout football and even league football, when it's as if we're trying to cling on to a lead when we were the better team. And then you think, just keep playing the way you're playing. So I'd been getting a bit nervous, and it was almost as if it was coming. I know they hadn't been on top of it for that long, but you just felt as soon as we stopped dropping back. I mean, it wasn't as if there was 5 minutes to go. It was 20 odd minutes to go, and we were dropping that far back. And I knew as soon as we started that we're not going to hold on for 20 odd minutes against this team. And well, that Angelino cross is something strikers dream of. And yeah, Nkunku, unbelievable finish, and McGregor no chance whatsoever. So, but we got Wallace, and I think we were poor for about 5 minutes after the goal, but after that, we just found our second wind.
Andrew, I genuinely feel it was the only time in the game that they caused us discomfort, to be honest. I really did. I feel up until that point, we had been in command. We were looking good. We weren't going to sort of surrender what we had very, very easily at all. However, I did feel at that point, they just looked like they were beginning to climb up the gears a little bit, and were definitely causing us concern.
I agree, Scott. It was always going to come. There was always going to be a 10-minute spell. You'd be very, very fortunate to go through 90 minutes against that level of opposition and not have to go under the cosh for a wee while. After the goal, they did impose themselves a wee bit better. I think that's partly our fault. I think we could have imposed our game more. I think Shug said, I totally agree. And Dylan, we dropped back a wee bit and kind of invited that a wee bit more pressure.
Yeah.
But as soon as they realised what they were doing and they got their foot back in the ball and started playing the game the way they were playing in the first half, it was back to the same old. I don't think it's coincidental that they're not having a very good time at the moment, Leipzig. I mean, that's the third loss in a row, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
In all different competitions, albeit that's fine. So they're not doing that well at the moment when you think of that. So when we imposed ourselves back on it, the confidence level rose again, because you could see extra time. You could see extra time coming. From that kind of moment, you know, if it doesn't change, if we keep sitting back, they will break through. It's as simple as that. But no, we imposed ourselves back on it, and then as soon as the third goal goes in, I'm sure we're going to get onto that, but that's just frightening. I'm with you, Scott. I can't believe it.
So, Dylan, my own personal opinion when I was going in, I remember thinking, do you know what I mean? I don't want extra time and penalties. I was working on Friday morning, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't want that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to go extra time and pens. I'm joking. If it went to extra time and pens and we win, couldn't care less. But I didn't want it to go extra time and penalties. 10 minutes to go. Huge moment in the game. So Rangers have made a substitute halfway through the second half. Jack has went off and Balogun's came on. And by bringing on Balogun, it allowed Lundstrom to play that little bit more advanced. Which I thought was quite a clever tactical move, because we know he's got legs, and we know he's got legs at that part of the game. At that time in the game, I think it was critical that we had someone who was quite happy to take the ball and just move forward with it and advance with the ball comfortably. John Lundstrom does that. And I reckon that John Lundstrom, Dylan, probably scored the most important goal of his career at Ibrox on Thursday night. And the celebrations in the stand were absolutely incredible.
Honestly, it's such a down run for Lundstrom this season, because I think at the start of the season, he struggled to settle in, had bad games, got blamed for some of the goals as well. I think got to January as well, where I don't think he was being chased out the door, but I think if he were to have left at that point, I don't think a lot of us would have shed any tears. At least that's the vibe I get from Rangers Sport. But, well, I mean, if he performed in this half of the season, if he performed like that in the first half of the season, he would have easily been our player of the season, hands down. He has just came over leaps and bounds. I think that's a credit to him, because I think we've seen like a lot better players on Lundstrom come to Ibrox, and as soon as it does go their way, it's down tools. So just like don't put the effort in, I think a player that comes to mind is Joey Barton. I mean, I think it takes like a certain like character to succeed under pressure. Because even when Gio came in, it sort of seemed that he didn't fancy playing Lundstrom in his team with his style, and then you start to wonder, where is he going to fit? Where does his future lie at the club? But oh my God, this when he scored that, it was just like I think you could not have had any other player score that, with the exception of Dav maybe, and he totally gets his club, and I think no, he loves us and we love him, and yeah, that is probably going to be in years to come. The same way that we looked at Nacho Novo's penalty in Fiorentina, it will just be like he is like cemented himself in the history of this club, and it's just as you say, one of the most important goals probably ever scored by one of our players, and it's just as soon as that goal went in, I can certainly bet that a lot of fans were starting to book their flights to Seville right there and then.
Shug, one of the things that I thought was quite good about the third goal, other than the fact that it was the third goal, and it felt like we were on easy street a little bit. There's an angle that you can see from behind the goal, and I think it would have been quite easy for novices such as the four of us rather. You just thrash the ball at the goal at that point. It's 10 minutes to go. You're just thrashing it at the goal and the hope that the net bulges. However, if you look at a view from behind the goal, he actually places it beyond about 3 different defenders. It's a really clever finish from a player, and I think Dylan's absolutely right. You're talking about a player just now who has completely shed his skin from the start of the season. Don't particularly think he enjoyed playing in the Steven Gerrard Rangers. However, with a bit of adaptability, he is slowly but surely becoming one of our big players at a big time this season when we're going for 2 huge trophies.
Yeah, he's arguably first name in the team sheet now. He's just been that good recently. I think Super Ali obviously was having the time of his life anyway last night, but I think even more so when you've heard him going on over the years about how you just pass the ball into the net, and he had Kamara passing into the net, and he had Lundstrom passing into the net. So Super must have delivered that message across. It was an absolute beautiful finish. And I think probably the only person happier than the Rangers fans last night is Belinda Carlisle, who'll be getting a big royalties check in the post at some point, wondering why is there 10 million listens to on Earth in my phone and Spotify. So I think she's maybe the only person happier than our boardroom and ourselves.
Listen, you have to say that takes us quite nicely in the atmosphere. After Lundstrom scores and he celebrates, and do you know what I mean? Everyone kind of gets themselves back together and their tops back on and get back to their chairs. I think you have the situation where Rangers played the last 10 minutes of the game out really well. There's no doubt that our scoring, despite having 10 minutes to go, completely burst Leipzig as far as I was concerned. They knew at that point they weren't getting back into the game. The Bears in the stands were going absolutely bonkers. I think there was an awareness that we were on the cusp of something really, really special. Shug, I know you were there. I don't know what the atmosphere was like where you were on the ground, but I can only speak from where I sit. And it was absolutely incredible. It was electric. It was white hot. It was wonderful to be there. And I think as a support, we played a huge part in a really successful night for the football club last night.
Yeah, I think 100% we definitely did. Yeah, I think the players got exactly what they needed from the fans, and the fans got exactly what they needed from the players in return. Yeah. I think it's a two-way street in that. But yeah, I'm sitting looking, I can look to my left, the Union Bears are right there, and
they were superb last night, weren't they?
They were absolutely unbelievable last night again, as always. But for the first time in a long time at Ibrox, for more than 90% of the game, I could scan anywhere in the crowd, and you'd think it was Union Bears had set up shop somewhere else. It was. I don't think I'll ever be in a better crowd than that last night. No. I don't. I took my mate as a Man United fan with me, and he was saying about it, and he's been to the Old Firms with me and stuff like that. He said that's a far better atmosphere than any Old Firm he's been in, and things like that. It's just that whole positivity, and every section in Ibrox has got that. At least that one guy that's absolute rubbish, Tav. That's garbage. What? I can't believe you are getting a game. They either all just changed their mood or they just were quiet the whole night, because there was not one bit of negativity in the section I was in at any point in the game, and it's just such a refreshing thing to hear. And if it's like that all the time, then God knows how good we'd be in the league. I think we'd have about 300 points.
Absolutely.
Somehow,
absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Listen, I'm glad you mentioned the Union Bears. We have to say a big up to them, for want of a better term or expression. Tifo before the game, which celebrates the Barcelona Bears in 1972. Absolutely incredible. From the Copeland Road, it must have looked absolutely stunning. I could see it from where I was in the main stand, and it looked absolutely cracking. I've yet to see a view from the opposite end of the ground, but it did look incredible, I have to say. And they also had a wonderful display for Jimmy Bell at the start of the second half. Both incredible. These guys deserve huge credit for everything that they're bringing to the atmosphere at Ibrox, particularly on these European nights, where when the away fans come here, they've no idea what to expect, but they should know when the full-time whistle goes, because the Union Bears have been right at the heart of whatever's been going on. I wanted to hear a little bit about the Barcelona Bears in 1972. Kyle McLean was very fortunate enough to get some time with Derek Parlane last week. It's available now on our YouTube channel. First class chat. Derek was very chatty, as you probably expect, and Kyle equally as much. Recommend you jump onto our YouTube channels and have a look. And as an aside, next week I will be recording a big interview with Dave Smith, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to. Another one of the Barca Bears who we'll look forward to getting a discussion with. On the atmosphere, from a personal perspective, I've been at Ibrox and wonderful European nights. Sturm Graz, when we beat them 5-0, beating Stuttgart 2-1. Elsewhere, you've got games like Parma, outstanding, Leeds, all wonderful occasions, generally really, really good games. But I did feel the atmosphere last night was like nothing I've ever experienced before. It was incredible, and there were definite moments where you're trying to catch your breath almost, because it was just the energy was incredible, and everyone was feeling it. I want to speak about a guy that sits in front of me, Jim, who I would say is north of 70. If he's not, I apologise. And at the end, visibly upset, very emotional, aware of what he's just witnessed. And he turned around and said to me, he goes, since 2012, you and I have came here and we've watched sort of candlestick makers and bakers and engineers come with Annan and East Stirling and Arbroath and Peterhead all come to Ibrox and have a bash at us. And we've been there every week to see them all. To think that 10 years later, we're going into a Europa League final is absolutely incredible. Andy, it makes me think about a point for yourself. I know that you go back and forward to football with your father as and when you can, and as and when you both manage. For someone, I don't know what age your father is, but I'm sure for him to see Rangers again in a European final is just incredible.
It's fantastic. The text between the two of us last night, well, the WhatsApp group really, and a couple of my friends that are in it, were excellent. Very emotional last night. I'll be honest with you. I had the pleasure of watching it alone, if you like, because sometimes that's good as well. Sometimes it is good to watch it alone because you soak it in. I was upset. I was in tears last night.
Yeah.
Because it's an emotional thing. It's huge. And I've been in tears twice today already watching videos. But that's to do with the guy in front of you is exactly right, Scott. When you think been going there 20 years now, East Enclosure, 20 years I've been going there, maybe 22 actually, seen everything. Last night, although I wasn't there and Ian was there, it kind of puts a lid on it, if you like. I know the winning the league last year puts a lid on that, but to get to this, it's another step. It's another step. So it was massive, and I'm going to be watching the final with my dad. That's what I think I want to do anyway. If your dad's still around, then watch it with him, because these things don't come along very often.
Yeah.
That said, it's only been 14, 15 years since we were there, so hopefully it might be a more regular thing. But as it stands now, you've got to assume it's a kind of once in a lifetime. So I'm going to watch it with him, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. To get onto the atmosphere, I just want to make a quick point.
Of course.
Have you ever when they ask players, the listen to the fans? No, it was only the fans out. Did you notice last night every player knows every single word of every single song? So that's utter nonsense. It's absolute utter nonsense. And I was lying on the couch after work this morning, and I was watching video after video, and my wife walked through and she says, "Why are you listening to Belinda Carlisle?" That's what we call her, right? She says, "I'm actually not. I'm listening to 50,000 people sing Belinda Carlisle." And I must have watched that video countless times. I don't know, you probably have seen it on Twitter. It's a guy filming from the main stand, roughly from where you sit, I think, Scott.
Yeah, I think he is, yeah.
He's filming the Brimloan, and he kind of pans down to the Govan stand. It's a fantastic video. But Alan McGregor's conducting them to sing Belinda Carlisle. I think that's just fantastic, and they know every single word, and they know all the bits, So that's just fantastic. And you never really see Alan McGregor animated. Last night you did. You see him very animated last night.
Yeah.
We'll go down the road of the argument about whether he's our best ever goalkeeper. Personally, I think he is, and I would love nothing more than to see him. Because I would imagine after the captain next week, in 12 days' time, when we lift this trophy, he'll be the second person to have his hands on it, and very rightly so, I think. And I would love to see it. I would really love to see it for Alan McGregor.
Well said, that man. Well said, that man. Dylan, so we now know, we knew it at full time. Eintracht Frankfurt had knocked West Ham out. Had a shocking time of it domestically, we have to say. I mean, rotten. I mean, really, really, really quite poor. Third German team will have played in the campaign. We know it's 10 days or so away now. What are you thinking now? Is there a confidence now? I appreciate that may change and wane as the night gets closer, but do you feel quite confident going into this Europa League final?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just going to be up and down. I think from here on out, I think, as you say, Frankfurt have had a shocker of a season domestically, but you just have to look at a European run they're on. I mean, they've knocked out Barcelona and they've knocked out West Ham in the last couple of rounds. I mean, it's all as if it's a given, I think, based on our, but again, it's hard because, again, we've come up against right good teams over the years. I mean, you have to think about, Porto, Braga, Borussia Dortmund this year, the draws with Benfica last year. The list could really go on. I could go on all night about it, but I think kind of to compare it to 2008 when we reached the final, I think back then we were just really happy to be there. Again, there probably were people at the time thought we could go on and win this, but again, it was quite hard to gauge because obviously social media is what the way it is now. But at the time, it just seemed like we were just happy to be there. It was kind of like sector. Like if we win it, amazing. But the fact that a Scottish team at that time got to the final, was just unbelievable. I think this time round, I feel like a lot more fans are confident in winning it. And I think that's just based on the fact that not only have we defended well, but we've been able to go toe-to-toe. I mean, we've got Borussia Dortmund, Belgrade, Braga, and RB Leipzig. I mean, these are like top-level players. I mean, you could even argue that some of them are like Champions League quality players. I mean, and the fact that like a team of our size, for some of the players I bought, I mean, probably the most expensive player in our lineup is Ryan Ginn, and that's 7 million. I mean, whereas probably 7 million is just like, pocket money for some of these teams. It really is. And the fact that a Scottish side like us are in the final, I mean, that's not meant to happen. Not even in terms of like the way the system is in UEFA, but the fact that you look at these teams, like the golf in Wales is probably the biggest it's ever been. It was getting big in 2008, but this kind of just expanded. And you just thought to yourself, we're probably never going to ever reach final again. But I know I went on a tangent there, but I think kind of just refer back to your question. At the moment, I'm confident just for the fact that the side has proven that man for man, we can really compete against, top teams in Europe. Again, it's going to be quite a roller coaster a couple of weeks for us, but at the moment I'm quite confident. But again, it could change this time tomorrow, the day before, on the day. So it's hard to gauge. But at the moment, I'm really confident.
Listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I have no idea if Dylan's on the fence, off the fence, approaching the fence. I have no idea.
Exactly.
Andrew, I'll be brutally honest with you. I think we've got a fantastic opportunity here to really go and win a European trophy. And I've really knocked out some decent scalps to get there. So I think we've got a great chance. I really do.
I totally agree, Scott. I totally agree with Dylan there. In 2008, we all watched the run. It was scrappy. It was really scrappy, the whole run. You knew what Walter Smith was doing. What he done tactically was fantastic, but you knew what he was going to do. And we were very fortunate, I think, in some games to get through them in that way. This is different. This is completely different. We're standing up last night and attacking a team worth £200 million, and we're beating them, and we're scoring goals for fun. I've not even counted how many is there. 6 against Dortmund, 6, 9, 15, 16 goals so far in the knockout stages, something like that. That's terrific. It's absolutely terrific. I'm confident. After sitting here and saying that I wasn't confident going into last night, I'm confident.
You're brimming.
Yes, I am. They're not doing too well in the German league, albeit I don't know. I'll do some research between now and then, of course, we all will. I know they're not doing too well, but you've got to say that they've knocked out an English Premiership team and Barcelona. So they know what they're doing. But I don't think there is a better chance to win a European trophy than we have in 12 days' time. I really, really don't. And I think we're going to do it. I really do. I'm confident enough to think that we're going to go there, impose our game, and let them worry about us. Rangers in Europe should be you worry about them and try and you alter your game to make sure you don't get a spanking. Really is what it is, especially at the later levels, In the last few years, I've had absolutely no problem. When Bayer Leverkusen put us out, I had no problem with that. They were a better football team than us. It's as simple as that. No problem with that at all. No problem with that at all. This is completely different this year. For some reason, it feels different. It looks different. The way they're playing is different. And I'm confident of going there and imposing our game and letting them worry about us. And I think they will be. If you ask Frankfurt, do they want to play Leipzig or us? I'm quite sure they would pick us. But between now and then, like we'll do to them, they'll be researching us and they won't be looking forward to it either. They'll have their nerves and they'll have their worries about us, and quite rightly so. But what a chance to lift a European trophy. It's not going to come round very often, and no. This is our chance. And the boys that are lucky enough to get to Seville, I hope they really enjoy it, because this is going to be excellent.
Shug, Andrew's absolutely right, and I listen. I think there's a real poignancy around us getting to the final this year. 150th year anniversary, 50th year anniversary of the Barcelona Bears. We've lost two incredibly important pieces of the Rangers fabric in the last 6 months or so, with Walter Smith and more recently Jimmy Bell passing. I loathe to say that things like this are written in the stars, particularly when we've got so long to think about it now, and we'll do sort of this thing to death. Are we going to win it? Are we not going to do it? I think at this stage, do you know what I mean? And we're aware of how long there is to go. I'm confident. Do you think we can go ahead and do it and really mark our 150th year where we have a huge trophy at the end of the season?
Oh, I absolutely do think we can do it. I mean, we've beaten two better German teams. So, I mean, the belief in that team will be sky high. And I remember we were all talking about it after the first leg with Leipzig, the Ryan Jack and the Gio interviews. Straight away, they were confident. It's like, we can do this. We can take them back to Ibrox and we can beat them by more than one. And they showed that they can. So I've absolutely no doubts they're going to go across to Seville and they're going to have full belief in themselves that we can go and we can win this, and they'll never get a better chance. I'm probably on 99% them will never get a better chance. So I think it was Super said it last night when I watched some of the stuff back, that's our third final in 50 years. And it was the best, but it was 36 years between 72 and 2008. So the fact that we've been alive for two of them, it's quite incredible. So whether we'll see a third one in the next 10, 15 years, God knows. But I think, this is our chance. This is their chance to go and be legends.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. I completely agree with you. Seville will be something else, and we'll do lots and lots of content between now and then. Shug, always good to have you on, buddy. Thanks for your time. Well done.
Yeah, cheers.
Andrew, good to see you on, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime, mate. Anytime. Loved it.
And Dylan, thanks for coming on as well. Hopefully you got off that fence over the next wee while. But listen, thanks for joining us as well. Well done.
Listen, it's always a pleasure, but tonight even more pleasure to talk about probably one of the most extraordinary nights in Rangers history. So again, I'm really happy to be on here tonight.
Indeed. Listen, talking about history, I should say a quick nod out to the women's team, who of course play Glasgow City on Sunday afternoon. They want to win, of course. I'm reasonably sure if they avoid defeat, they will win their first professional league championship. Huge deal. That is on Sunday afternoon at the training centre. It's sold out as well. So we hope they do it, of course, and it could be another coin for Zenith Coins to go away and work on. Barcelona 72 guys, Derek Parlane has joined Kyle this week. It's available on YouTube, the interview, big interview, really, really good interview. Derek, very good indeed, speaks about his career, the forthcoming Rangers 72 film, which is coming out. Kyle was lucky enough to attend the premiere of that a week or so ago. Very good interview. Recommend you jump on our YouTube channel and have a wee look at that. Next week, Dave Smith joins me for a big interview. We look forward to an hour or so of his time. That'll go out across our YouTube channels, probably midweek of next week. So we look forward to filling your content and your brain with some more Rangers stuff. We look forward to that. Indeed we do. And we'll be back on Sunday night to review the Dundee United game, which of course happens on Sunday. Didn't even speak about that tonight because the Europa League is simply the only show in town. Listen, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check us out across our YouTube. Like, subscribe, leave a comment if you can. Toggle your notifications on so that anytime we do fire out some content, you get a wee notification. You can jump on and check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.